artists,
Ready.
creators, designers, welcome to Dream Aloud Art, y'all. We certainly appreciate y'all joining, most definitely. So if you're just coming through and you're just browsing around, you're wondering, what are these two people talking about? Go ahead and follow me. Just make it official. Go ahead and follow me at Dream Aloud Art. And while you're at it, follow our guest today, David Puck, artist. Okay, he's tagged in the pinned comment below. or you can tap the little Abby up here and it'll take you to both of our profiles. And once you follow me, please make sure that you subscribe on YouTube, okay? So you can see the whole interview. IGTV only holds 15 minutes currently, okay? And you know these interviews go much longer than that. So, David Puck. Now, let's begin, okay? So what exactly, and sometimes this is an easy question, sometimes it's a layered question. What exactly would you say if you were introducing yourself to someone for the first time? And I'm saying that because, of course, some of our viewers have yet to know about you. What would you say about yourself as far as creatively? You know, you're David Puck, and this is what you do creatively. What would it be?
Sure. Well, firstly, thank you so much for having me here. I'm like so happy to share this conversation and this space with you. And I'm just already vibing so much off your energy. So it's brightening my day. And yeah, I think I would say, well, first of all, this is some of my work behind me. So as a visual artist, you can just get that immediate effect, which I think it's always easier to see someone's work than to describe it. Yes. And then me as a person, well, ooh. There's a lot to say. I think sticking to the art and the message I have with art, it's definitely about queer culture, queer experience, and having queer visibility, LGBTQIA plus community, which is a huge part of my life. And it's that, and then also mental health awareness and psychology. Those are my two like missions, my pillars in my life currently that have meant so much to me and have really helped me on a healing journey to be able to exist in a way that is harmonious and happy and heal from difficulties in my life. And I need to make art because it makes me happy. And then if I'm going to make art, I want to share a message that I think will help other people also. So there's kind of that two-pronged thing, because sometimes when I'm talking about it, it's like, oh, well, if you care that much about mental health, why aren't you a therapist yet? And it's like, well, I like painting too.
Everyone has their own path, their own journey, and how they, I'm just going to say, essentially impact the world. Okay, so yeah, I can't, and you sound like someone who does relax those kind of ideas, because sometimes when people, you know, I mean, I'm sure they mean well. We all mean well, you know, in what we do generally. But if someone poses that kind of question, it's like, well, that may be your idea of what path I should take. But that's for us to know what path it is that we're taking that, you know, essentially is helping the world, benefiting yourself and others. So yeah. You seem like you relax those kind of thoughts when people have those conversations, questions.
Definitely. And I remember talking, because earlier before I became a painter, doing something like philanthropic and on the more like administrative side, because I was like in academics like before I was even painting. I
have some questions.
You have notes.
Getting there, but yes, well, go ahead.
A really good friend of mine, a woman called Elizabeth Dykstra McCarthy, and she's on the path to working, like being general of the UN or something. It's incredible what she's doing, working with refugees and working in international development. And I remember right before I started painting 3 years ago, I had this conversation with her in London where I was like, I just want to paint so much. Art is such a part of me. It's been a part of me since I was so young, but I just feel this guilt that I should be using the other opportunities that I have to do something like what she is doing. And she said to me, even within the work that she does with refugees and with various other causes, the principle is always do no harm. So it's not about, oh, I have to go out and do like the most that I can possibly do with my opportunity. It's about living your life in a way that you're going to be the most positive being. And that, I think, of ripples in a pond, that's going to ripple out.
That's right.
So if doing art makes you a more positive person in your community as well as in what you're expressing, then that's what you should do. And I completely agree with what you said, is that we all have, like, we can't all be social workers. Like, there's social workers, there's artists, there's so many different roles. And I think and that's what I try and do, is like, I want to bring that kind of caring empathy to art.
Yes.
Like the same kind of care, but bring that through in a different role. And that's like what I try and do in my existence and conversation.
I love it. I love that. And you dropped so many gems. I don't even know which one to to. I mean, just
pick them up.
Like, you know, because I will say that's real energy. That is real energy. So when you're putting love and care into anything like that's really creating some waves out here, you know. And that's I guess, you know, it almost feels like some people overuse the word vibes, you know, but that's like real vibes, real vibrations, and that is creating real change. And for some folks, it's a challenge to understand that, to have the confidence in their passions and know that it is making a difference when they do it. Okay, you know, so
definitely.
Yeah,
I think it's so important to feel, for artists and for everyone, to feel like what you do in your life and in your work matters. And in whatever way that you find that sense is, I think, so important for individual well-being and for the work that we're doing. And I'm actually doing a project after we finish this interview. I'm going to go do it. But it's a project by an organization, a non-profit in LA called ArtShare LA, and we're painting the boarded up businesses that have been closed because of Corona. So all around LA, there are just streets and streets of these like empty wooden boards covering windows. And for people, when they're out walking their dog, when they have to drive somewhere that's essential, that's what you're seeing, this very depressing environment. So we've been out and following social distance practices. We've been painting voluntarily all of these boards, and that's what I'm about to go do. And the reason that's related is because I think that that it's a role that art can play to have like a direct impact upon people's life and mental health and do something. And the tagline of the project is art is essential. And it's trying to remove this idea that's kind of emerged since Corona, that was already existing before, that art isn't essential, that it's a luxury, that it's something, you know what I mean? And I feel like a lot of artists use that to like limit themselves because they, like me, they think that they feel guilty for even doing it, like it's an indulgence. So projects like this are trying to reverse that attitude and inspire artists to be like, what you do matters.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. I'm almost rendered speechless because you hit on some really valuable points. Just, you know, and that's part of Art Minton and that's why I have, like, for the next couple of weeks, I'm booked solid with interviews, because I'm so passionate about artists just realizing that what they do does matter, you know, and you never know who you're going to inspire. You never know what that's going to do for you as a person, you know, like, okay. All right, David, we're going in. I mean, we are going deep. So,
yeah, sorry that I'm talking so much. I'm a bit of a blabberer. You can like tell me that.
That is why we're here. Trust me. That is exactly why we're here. This is your time for sure. But I know there are some things that you shared with me that I do want to reflect on, and you know, if you'll give some detail about some of these experiences. So let me see. I jot down. This is from what you had shared, that you are currently volunteering. Is that currently volunteering as a crisis counselor?
Yeah.
Okay. So I feel like you may have answered some of that, but what led you into wanting to do that?
Yeah, so I actually just finished my training a couple weeks ago, so I'm pretty new to this current role, and it's with a group called Crisis Text Line, and they are in America, Canada, and the UK, but in the UK it's under the name Shout, and it's a suicide crisis hotline, but instead of on the phone, it's all by texting. And that's been developed over research that a lot of young people feel way more comfortable texting, and you can actually get like as good of a quality of care on the phone as you can by texting whilst also handling multiple things at a time. Right. So, and they're a really great organization, and they're using the data from what they're doing, using like big data type Google tactics, whilst respecting people's privacy, but using that to really push forward with mental health support. So anybody who's interested in volunteering at this time, it's all online. You can do the training all online. The training in itself is amazing and has taught me so much about supporting the people around me, as well as these strangers that I talk to via the text. Right. But yeah, so I've been doing that, and what led me to it is just a really like a lifelong interest in mental health, partly because my experience, since I can remember, it struggled with depression, struggled with anxiety, and low self-esteem, and so many like perfectionism, so many things.
Let me add that. Yeah, I can definitely relate. I was depressed for a little bit of time about 5 years ago, just realizing that, you know, it's almost like I felt like if I didn't say it, then I wasn't experiencing it. You know, it's like, oh, as long as I said I'm not depressed or I'm not experiencing anxiety, then I thought I was good. But I just wanted to say that because I do connect and relate with you on that. So yeah, continue.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. And I think it's really important I'm so glad that you feel able to be open in this space and for us to have that connection, because I think that's such a large part of it in terms of breaking the stigma. They say is that so many of us experience this all the time or at different times in our life. It's really common. And one of the things that I feel really passionately about and I address with the work that I do and the interviews that I do is like mental health it's about depression, it's about different disorders, it's a medical field that we all know about. But also what we've seen in the last like 15 years in the emergence of positive psychology is people realizing that mental health is for everyone. And whether you realize or are able to admit yourself, or even if you can think that your life is going absolutely perfectly, but mental health is still relevant to you because it's about having that knowledge to exist in a way that is harmonious with yourself and with others. And I think of it as like, it's like mental health and physical health. You can make so many analogies there, and it's a part of your. And that's something that I feel really strongly about, because I feel like I would love to hear more about your experience, but it sounds like with a lot of people, they don't want the label of being like mental health, you know?
It's a label, and it's like as soon as you let go of those ideas, I mean, you'd be surprised, you know? But it's absolutely part of your entire well-being. It's not like, you know, I mean, mental health, I will say that is becoming more of a topic, and I'm just glad that it is. And platforms like this make it more of a topic because we're talking about it, you know? So yeah, to relieve some of those ideas as though, you know, it's not okay to talk about it and make it a conversation, and to see other people who have healed through it and continuing that healing. So yeah, for sure.
Definitely.
All right. David, I'm about to subscribe to your podcast. It's like you if you have one, I mean, let me know, because
oh, I actually do. So this one was painted. So it's like a video. Yeah, I just started it. It's a video podcast where I interview. I should have you on. I interview creatives about their creative work, and then we focus on creativity and mental health. So this one is my friend Fred, and she's a circus performer. So we talked all about circus, and then we talked about difficult family relationships and how she's navigated that.
I post that video on my story.
Yes. Oh, so it's like a video podcast, I guess, because it is visual. But yeah, I should totally have you on it.
You know, this is definitely worth a DM after the interview, for sure. I would love to know more about it. I didn't realize that, David. There's just so much. There's so much to David. So it's like
it's literally brand new. Like, I wouldn't expect anyone to know about it. Yeah, I just started. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, okay, to be continued for sure. Okay. All right. So a few other things. Your South America ventures. So you had noted that you hitchhiked a boat through the Panama Canal, and however it works into the conversation. I'm curious about these things, you know, including being a crisis counselor and your adventures, say, in South America. How all of this has impacted you creatively, you know, impacted you creatively. So let's hear a little bit about your adventures in South America.
Yeah, those are some of my like crazy stories, you know, when you like want to have fun at a dinner party, you're like, oh, well, I did this one. It's on my Hinge profile. It's like, there's like, what's your craziest story? So I like put it on my Hinge, like, oh, maybe this will get me a date.
Okay.
But yeah, so that Well, basically, like I've loved travel since I'm from a small town in the countryside of England. So I was like scratching to get out of that small town and to just experience more. Like
Right.
it was not a diverse town.
I see.
There was, and it's lovely for what it is, but I just needed to
Right.
get out and just experience more of life. So I've been traveling since I was 19. I've been like saving up money and going off on these trips. And that
Mm-hmm.
one to South America was, I'd done a few before that. And that one was me in London trying to work, trying to do the like normal life thing. And it just, like I referenced depression before, just not working out. So I
Mm-hmm.
was like, you know what? I'm going to save up some money and I'm just going to go to Mexico. And
Yeah.
I literally, I knew nothing about Mexico, but I just had this in
You're
my
like,
mind, like, I'm
mm,
just gonna go and I'm
yeah.
gonna like release myself to the world and try and get out of this funk that I'm in and hopefully learn some stuff about myself to be able to exist in a healthier way or to just grow
Mm,
up and work out what's going on. And so that's how I ended up eventually finding an anarchist sailboat in Guatemala. The captain was called Martin. Hi, Martin. We're still in touch. And we sailed, ended up sailing through the Panama Canal down to Ecuador. And then when we arrived in Ecuador, an earthquake had literally just hit
oh
where
my
we were planning to arrive. So we literally sail into this like earthquake disaster zone. And I'm like getting off
shit.
the boat, like, what do we do? So I managed to find a
What?
NGO that was building houses. So I ended up building bamboo houses for earthquake survivors for like
Hmm.
quite a few weeks until I then had to continue onwards. So,
Good gracious, David. Wow. What is, whoa. That's,
so that was kind of crazy.
that is
But
a trip. Whoa.
yeah, some of the funnest times of my life. Yeah, I mean, if we weren't in lockdown right now, I love traveling, and I think when you're able to do it, when you have that opportunity and that privilege with your passport and with everything else, um,
Mm-hmm.
I think it can be so valuable to just learn about other people and to get outside of
Yes.
your own experience. And I think
That's
it's made
right.
me so much more of a empathetic and open-minded person.
Mm.
Um, like, yeah, like I said, like my background was not diverse at all. So I really think that contributed to me being able to cultivate that in myself and hopefully
Sure.
be like the type of person that I like to think of myself now as like being that
Did
open-minded.
you, now, when you were in South America, did you dabble into anything creative out there? Did you do any murals or anything? Did you engage in that, or it wasn't for that? The your venture out there wasn't for that necessarily.
No, I did a little bit, but this
Okay.
was so I started painting again 3 years
Oh,
ago.
okay. Okay.
So
Okay. Gotcha.
it was actually because of this trip, after kind of giving up on like I said, normal life, giving up on that and then not giving up is a bad word,
I
but
understand. I understand. Yeah.
yeah. And then after this trip, I was then able to kind of take stock within myself and be like, okay, what do I want to do? What do I want in life? What is it? And then this light bulb went off in my head. And I was like, what have I always loved? What is it that I actually wanted to do? Like, I wanted to go to art school and I couldn't
Mm,
for various reasons.
yeah.
And it felt like this switch where I was transported back to being 17 again. And I felt so rejuvenated. Like, this is what I
Oh.
need to do. And I ended up moving to Berlin, and I just spent a year like a crazy amount of painting. I like wouldn't leave my house for 5 days sometimes because I was just
Oh, that's, oh my
like
goodness. Check
like
that out.
an unsustainable amount. But I really feel like it was like 8 years of pent up creativity that was just finally allowed to.
You know what? I'm gonna say what that is. My equivalent is a breakthrough where I have come to the point within the past couple of years where I feel like I'm giving myself that permission to embrace and love, okay, art from years ago. Like when you said that, you felt like you were taken back to 17. Like I feel like that passion that I had and have always had, it just kind of started getting into a little bottle and like kind of squeezed and just kind of held on to. But I feel like it's totally unleashed, within the past couple of years. It's like just totally erupted. So I
That's so
definitely feel
great.
that. I definitely feel that. But what I have experienced in my life is that breakthrough where it's like I peaked with, I was like, I had enough of, the stress and everything that I was enduring. And so it was like a nervous breakdown, you know, and after that, it's like the skin shed, and it's all of a sudden like I feel great, you know. So
That's so great.
And full of a lot of energy. So I'm vibing with you on that for sure. And then that charge is so strong that, you know, like you said, you were painting continuous. It's like get it all out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. I'm so happy for you that you've experienced that as well. And I think it can, hopefully it can be encouraging to people that are currently experiencing that rock bottom that both of us have had, to see a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. And I think that life always goes in waves, and sometimes the lower the crest or peak, the lower down the wave goes, the higher it's going to come back up again. That's what I'm trying to say.
Very well.
I don't know enough like nautical vocabulary to say that properly.
No, but I get you. I get you because I've been there, you know, and again, it's still life is, you know, as we're here in this form, okay, in these, you know, biological spacesuits, but life is going to have its challenges. So it's not like you just, you know, I'm here and I'm good, but still seeing where those moments will come up, you know, those moments. Definitely. Even if, you know, I have an amazing team. I'm very blessed to have an amazing team. They're hanging out in the comments, so they're going to hear that. But they help keep me together, because I'll have those moments of passion where it's like I want to do everything, and it's like, okay, now it's like, whoa, okay, now I think I've had the most. They always remind me, you know what, you don't have to do 1 through 80, okay, so take some steps back. And so it's important to still be mindful of that.
Definitely, I definitely agree, and that's great. You have a support system to like help you with that, and I think it actually, you know, it just reminded me. It's so funny. I did not plan this, but I've been learning to tattoo, so I just have been doing it recently with a friend via videos, and I just did.
And please expand on that because I'm curious.
Well, I just did my first ever human tattoo on myself, and it is, I'll show you, it's like not great, but it's a wave, and we were just, and it's for that reason, it's the waves of life, the ups and downs, and it's like every time I look at it, I want to remind myself that life has these ups and downs, and to not struggle so hard against the downs, and to really embrace the ups. So yeah, there it is.
Okay, share it, please.
Can you see it?
Yes. So I certainly applaud you for sure. That's awesome. But I love the significance of that. Man, that's deep. You know, the past few interviews that I've done, people have been dropping all kinds of gems. Like, y'all, I feel like I'm experiencing another, you know, energy breakthrough here. This is great, and it's healthy. It's
so
wonderful.
great.
So
yeah, well, that's the amazing thing about what you're doing with this project, is that providing this space and this attention towards people to show that you care about them and what they're doing is such a powerful thing. And it's really amazing what you're doing, and I appreciate it. And that's what I try and do with my own podcast as well, is that it's about, I'm going to learn so much from listening to other people and from their experiences. And I know that I actually really want to talk to you about that, but I'll wait until the section when I ask you questions. Yeah.
Don't whip out a notebook. Some people, they're like, yes. They're like, I'm ready to ask you questions. I'm like, how many questions do you have? No, it's definitely all good. Okay, so I also jot some of the things I jot down. You've actually discussed. Now okay, here's one that I don't believe. No, you haven't discussed this. All right, so you studied history, as you had shared. You studied history at Oxford University in England, and your focus was rural queer history. What exactly is that?
Yeah, so the actual degree, because it's undergraduate, the way that college functions in the UK is a bit different to the US, in that we don't have majors and minors. You just pick your minor, you pick it before you even start. So the whole 3 years is just that major. And so then the way the course functioned is that I actually did a lot of different types of history. But when it comes to my final project where I was researching, I was like doing like your thesis. I think you use that word here as well, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Correct.
So I did a lot of different things, but then the thesis was on that. So I think of that as my like overall focus. But it was a little bit broader. But yeah, rural queer history. It was basically like I said, queerness has been a huge part of my life, and it was at university that I really fully embraced that. And I was actually running the queer organization at my college, and I was like
Oh,
doing a lot of things politically and socially. Yeah, and I made a documentary, and it was a part of my like extracurricular life. So then when I finally got to choose
wow.
what it is that I do, I was looking at queer history, and it was not a lot existed anyway because it was only decriminalized in England in 1967. So it's
Mm,
pretty recent history. A lot of it is like hidden, secret history.
mm.
Um, and then on top of that, it was all completely focused on London. There was only one book in existence that even talked about the countryside. And obviously, like I said, I'm from the countryside, and obviously queers
Wow.
existed there too. So I
Right.
really wanted to
Okay.
find out. I really wanted to find out, like, what was it like? So I was literally studying my hometown, looking at
Mm.
the people who were, and it was mostly looking at like arrest records of people who were arrested for
Wow.
cruising or for being caught before it was decriminalized, and looking and yeah, and so that was like a really personal passion project for me, I guess, because it's like if I had been born 50 years earlier, that would have been me getting
Yeah.
arrested.
Yeah. 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 I see. Got you. Wow. Mm. That's really something, though. I mean, as far as how, I guess it just, like you had to actually look at the arrest records instead because there
Yeah.
really wasn't much of anything you could
Yeah, I was like,
find.
I was like underground in London in this like this like bunker, looking through all these old records
Oh my
of
God.
whatever existed, and that was my favorite part of the degree because when you're reading, they call it primary research. So instead of reading a book that someone else has written, you're really digging into that like first level, and that's what
Oh,
I love because you're discovering. Like the reason I did history is because I think in hindsight I really would have been better suited to like psychology or philosophy because I've just always been really interested in people and human experience and like like the way that we can all be human but we have such vastly different experiences and perceptions and like history is like not an objective thing. It's so subjective in terms of who wrote it, what they wrote, what their perception was, and like and I think
mm,
that's really fascinating
see
too.
that.
So yeah,
Yeah. All right. Oh my goodness, David. Jeez. Okay. So that response that I just gave you is like me trying to sort out like I don't know, just trying to sort out what we've already discussed, how I want to respond, but also realizing that there's other things that I want to talk about. So I'm just
you're
like,
doing
wow, like
you're
that's good. Thank you for
you're
that.
doing great. You're doing great because
Yeah.
I know that I jump around so much. Like my train is jumping tracks at all these different times.
That's okay. That's okay. I mean, we're totally in a relaxed environment for sure. But my gosh. Okay, so I will pause. Let me pause on some of your history and in that domain as far as your travels, as far as your education, formal things like that. Let's talk about your process. Let's talk about that. So you mentioned earlier that you got back into painting. So at what point did you start? Let me pause on that. So when someone looks at your work, what would you tell them that your process has been like? Like, what has the creative journey been like to get to that point, to get to your
Mm,
level, get to where you're at? So what has that process been like, or that journey?
mm. Yeah, so well, I always loved drawing ever since I was a
Okay.
young child. Like I
Right.
was more of a quiet and shy child. My brother was super boisterous, and then I would be more kind of just looking like being by myself, like drawing in the corner. So it was something that was always, no matter what I was making, it was this healing process for me. It was like time within
Mm-hmm.
myself. And I definitely have retained that into adulthood, that when I'm creating, when I'm doing a mural, I'm out and I'm sociable with other people, but there's still, when I'm designing the mural, I'm always by myself, and it's this very like internal process.
Okay.
And then all of these paintings are the same thing. And it's mostly the process has just been, it's been about looking inside of myself and thinking, what do I care about? What am I
Mm,
interested in? And we've touched on a lot of those things, which is I'm interested in human experience. I'm interested in queer experience. in mental health and psychology, in different people's lives and how they view themselves and others. And that's what I feel I'm always exploring. And then you bring in the aesthetic side, which is how can I play with color? How can I play with different, different materials or processes? And so it's those two combined. And I think with portraiture, it's kind of, this is something I've been like playing with, is the extent to which you want it to be a recognizable portrait or not. Because I think that really changes. Like, I think a portrait painter is very different to like a painter or a figurative painter, because the core of a portrait is that it's always going to be, a lot of it is going to be about that person and not just looking like them, but reflecting them. So that's always going to really strongly influence what you're doing. So that like balance is interesting.
I haven't heard it said like that, but well said. It's about, wait, one more time. It's not about it looking like them, but
oh, it's like not just looking like them, but that it reflects them, and it's about like who they are.
Them. Yes.
Yeah.
Powerful.
Yeah.
Okay.
So and I think because I didn't go to art school, everything I've done has just been me. So I think it's been a lot of trial and error and just trying things out, and just like, I think this happens with people that go to art school too, is that you make something, you try something, and then if you like it, you try it some more, and it probably gets bigger, or it like gets even more crazy, and you add a new thing. And I still feel like I'm very much in that process of just like, I'll add like multiple eyes to this one, or I'll add flowers to this one, or I'll try a new thing. And like, I can, if you want, I can walk through some of the stuff that's behind me to kind of describe the differences.
Let's do it, because it's most of that. Some of the things that I'm seeing is the content on your page, which I was going to ask you about. But please share.
Yeah, so because I think this kind of illustrates some of what I'm talking about, in that, like, so when I started, I was using mostly spray paint, which is what's used for murals too, and that's these two here. And it's that combination of like a kind of chaotic, drippy, abstracted spray paint with then pulling it in with the detail. And then that like duality, like I think about dualities a lot, like we were talking about the ups and downs with waves and happiness and sadness, and with the paintings I'm thinking about balance of dualities as well, in terms of abstraction and realism, or like melancholy and happiness, and those sorts of things.
All of that.
Exactly. So then recently that kind of morphed into these two, which is using acrylic pouring, where you get a big cup of acrylic and you just pour it on the canvas.
Yes.
Have you seen those?
I love acrylic pouring, and I can't wait to get into it. Gosh, it's on my to-do list. But
it's so much fun, and that's what these ones are. That's all of this abstracted textures from pouring, and then I come, similar to the spray paint, I'll like come in and turn it into a face. And I like that kind of, that release of control, because like when you're pouring, you just pour it and then it happens, right? And I love that feeling of like letting go.
Wait, hold on. I felt that. I felt that deeply, because I thought that I was attracted to acrylic pouring because of the colors, okay? And how the colors just flow and let go. But what you said registered so much for me, that release of control, and that's probably why I was also drawn to that. There's no form, like a construct kind of, it has to be this way. It's just let it go, release. And that's probably why I love to see people do it too. I like to watch little videos on IG. Okay, please continue. That was another huge gem dropped on David Puck, y'all. Okay. So please
I mean, I'm right there with you, and I think that one of the beautiful things about making art is that it's as much about the process and how it makes you feel as it is about what the end result looks like. And I've always thought about that with myself, and like I mentioned before, that art is, since I was young, has been an internal process for me to feel good and to feel calm. And so that's why I do it. And I've always thought that like, it's nice that there's a painting at the end of it, and it's nice that people enjoy looking at that painting, but the reason that I do it is because of how it makes me feel. And I think I personally find that really beautiful as a way to live.
That's awesome. Oh my goodness. Okay. All right.
But
I need a minute to breathe. I need 60 seconds to just Inhale, exhale. Yeah, yeah, I'm with it. So yeah, please continue if you wanted to share a couple more pieces behind you.
I love your supportive energy. I feel like I want to have you inside my headphones all the time. Just like throughout the day, I could have you be like, "You're doing great, David," and I'll be like, "Yeah."
Well, I do appreciate it, and I'm here to support. I have folks DM me all the time and everything, so I get it. I always say that in every artist that whomever I'm talking to or connecting with, I see a piece of me in them because I've had a lot of experiences creatively, but besides relating to those experiences, I also had a lot of doubts, sometimes, and just I guess I think about what I would have liked too when I did have those doubts was to have someone encourage me and just tell me to, hey, live in that creative space and embrace it. So yeah, I'm
That's so great. That's like it's like be the change you want to see in the world. Like you want to see more support out in the world, so that's what you put out. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. You see? Okay. I'm
Yeah.
subscribing to your podcast like now. So yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
You're gonna be on it. Yeah. So the last two is what I've just recently been doing because I've kind of been looking at these different things concurrently, and that's one of the ones you held up. Yeah, so yeah, I did a makeup look to go with it because I've been playing with makeup too around the same time that I started tattooing, which is really fun. Yeah.
My gosh, I know. It's just like, it's incredible. That is just incredible. That's mind blowing.
Thank you.
Like, I really respect that. So what drew you to that direction?
To the makeup?
Actually trying the makeup. Like,
yeah. What? That's funny because it's something that I've always been interested I've been interested in for a long time because drag is a huge part of my life and within queer culture too, and makeup is a really big part of drag, right? And so I've always wanted to do it, and there's just been reasons like I can't afford the supplies, or I don't have time, or I need to focus on painting, or whatever it is, like all these excuses. And funnily, is like a silver lining to this whole quarantine situation is that the reason that I finally did makeup, finally decided to learn to tattoo. I got a pole. I've been learning to pole dance. I've been stretching every day. I've been running every day.
Wow.
So, and it's partly because of quarantine, like having like not feeling like there was so much pressure to do so many other things because it's like, well, I'm here and I have to be here. It kind of gave me permission to take that pressure off of myself and to stop those excuses and to just say like, well, do you want to do it? Yes. Well, then do it. And it doesn't have to make sense. And like, I like to try and tie it into what I'm doing in art because it feels good for me to feel like I have this coherent movement, but it doesn't have to, you can do something completely random. Like I painted a Dr. Pepper bottle on my face the other day because I just thought it was funny. Yeah. And that makes no sense with my work, but I was just like, I like Dr. Pepper and I think it's funny, so I'm going to do it.
Yes. Look, I saw that and I was just like, what?
What?
Right. You're absolutely right. It is completely up to you. It's nice to have the cohesive, that between your work or a running theme, but it is not necessary. It's totally up to you for sure.
Just do you. Just like live your true self. Yeah.
Yes. You know what? There are a lot of our viewers have just been going on and on in the comments about like, you are the truth. Like they're like, David, fuck here, positive vibes for real. So
quarantine hugs for all of you.
Yeah, social distance hugging,
Yeah.
But yeah, that's real energy, and I'm with it. I wholeheartedly support that. I support your movement most definitely. So I do want to thank you for answering some of my questions, and we're going to see what questions our viewers have put in a little stack of cards down there. Okay, so Let's see what the questions are.
Hi everyone. I saw a couple people that I know popping up. I wanted to be like, hey, yeah.
Good. I'm glad they tuned in. So we have one question here from Alanosis. It's, what do you want the world to remember most about you? Thank you for that question, Alanosis. What do you want the world to remember about you?
Thank you. I think I want. I always want to act in a way that I feel like I'm a positive and supportive energy for those around me.
Right.
So I think that just if people remember me as being at least trying to be kind, that's the most important thing to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. All right. I'm with that. That's good feedback on that. And thank you again, Alanosis, for that question. Cassian has a question. What art piece brought you the most attention that served as a landmark that you were going in the right direction? Okay. All right.
Mm.
That's a deep question there. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you,
That's it.
Cassian.
That is a
Okay.
really good question because there's definitely a lot of pieces that have like stuck out to me personally that I remember and I'm like reluctant to sell. Probably in terms of attention, definitely the murals because
Yes.
murals have this whole other like impact
Yeah.
and not everybody's doing them. So I feel like, you know, especially doing what I do, which is like the drag and mental health murals, it's like something quite different. So like most of those really, I'm struggling to pin it down to one.
The one. Okay, but yeah,
Yeah.
most of those that are
But I
really
think,
telling you you're headed
but
in the right direction.
I guess the sense of the question is like heading in the right direction, and I think
Yes.
to pick up from that, I think that everybody always wants to like have their own unique style or to like have their own voice, and I think what the drag murals do for me is that it's very much bringing together my interests that
Okay.
other people will have, but less people than just everyone who's painting. So it's drag, it's mental health, it's public art, it's community engagement, it's my form of abstraction and realism. So when you take all of these things that are me, it starts to become more like your style and more unique because you're like we were just saying, you're being yourself, like being
Yourself.
true to yourself. So I think it's almost like forgetting what's going to bring you attention and thinking more about what makes me me.
There you go. Yes. Love that feedback for sure.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, David. All right. And Haley's comment design, she actually posed a question. Would you ever do drag yourself?
Hey, yeah, I actually do it.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay. All right.
yeah, so I'm not good at it, but I have a lot of fun.
You said you're not good at it? Okay.
No,
What exactly would you say is the point of saying you're good at it?
I, well,
Educate me on
when I say that, I think that's probably me more being like, I have not put the time toward, I like respect
okay.
drag artists a lot, so I haven't personally put the
Oh,
time towards like building that craft. So what I do with my drag is that I don't look like the traditional drag is like a man looking like a woman, and now it's opened up
okay.
so much more than that. And what I do is I dress as inanimate objects. So I have a drag number where I'm a cigarette and I'm just like coughing a lot. I have a number where I'm a piece of bread. Yeah, and then I'll make that into like a pun, and like it's all really silly, and it's just like differently to my art, which is often like very serious and
Right, right.
melancholic and kind of pensive. The drag I do, I just want to like have fun and just be like,
Okay, where can we see this? Where can we see? Or I mean, where
I
can we
actually
see? It's
don't.
not for us to see yet. Or are you trying to like? Where can we see? That's kind of cool. Inanimate
Yeah,
objects. Like who would have thought?
thanks. I have a lot of fun doing it. And I love just like I do improv as well, and I love improv and I love the playful mindset that it puts you in as a person, just like playing with the
Right.
world. Like so like Puck is a chosen name. It's not my real name, and the reason I chose that is because
Wow.
Puck is the playful deity in paganism, and it's in Midsummer Night's Dream in Shakespeare, and so that's
Okay.
like a side of myself that I'm always wanting to cultivate is just living life with this kind of playful exploration, and that's
Huh.
like what I try and do with drag and with
Oh
improv.
my goodness. So you are taking me and our viewers to school here. Okay. I love that. Thank you. Thank you for that. Look, Haley's saying you are so interesting. More
Oh,
explanation.
thank you.
Like, yeah, pretty much. Okay, all right. So viewers, thank you so much for your questions. Most definitely. We truly appreciate you. So now, David,
Yeah,
let's
thank you
do
so
the
much.
reverse roles. And you have questions or a question or for myself, what do you have?
Yeah, well, what we touched on earlier is that relevant to this conversation is that you clearly, through doing this and through talking to you, you have so much interest and care about other people. And like I said before, I think it's really amazing to give that gift to someone of being so interested in what it is they do, especially when you don't know them personally, right? Like, so I'm just interested in that. Like, what brought you to it, and what inspires you to be so interested in other people? And I have a follow-up question after that, so I'll let you go.
Oh, okay. I guess I'll warm it up to say that there was a time, of course, where I was hands-on. I was a hands-on artist, and I actually dabbled in so many different kinds of mediums. But even though I had, and this was mainly in college, even though I had a group of friends that we were artists, there were a lot of selfish aspects to me as an artist. Now, I might not have realized that back then, because when I say selfish, it's like I didn't feel like I needed the art community. That's just my own realization. Some folks do very well and they don't need the art community, whatever that means for them. But for me, I just saw it as like kind of competition. It's like I do me, I do my own thing, and I don't worry about anyone else. So fast forwarding, and of course, there's a whole lot more to the journey, but fast forwarding to this point, having that trust and opening or creating a shared space, and being okay, that trust with highlighting other artists, being okay with highlighting other artists and showing that love for what they do. And I feel like it just went to a really deep space to trust that it's okay to share the space. It's okay to show that love, because essentially, I guess it's kind of like when my own inner love grows, it just kind of goes out, So it's like I have to. It just feels like a calling, and it's very strong. And so sometimes when people ask me that question, I almost don't know what to say, because it's like I just feel like I have to do it. I've got to do it. There's no, I can't see not doing it. In other words, so it wouldn't make sense to not do it.
I love that, and I love that you kind of challenge that attitude of competition, because I feel like that is the normal state that people feel, is like, oh, there's a limited amount of attention and jobs, and we have to be against each other. And that's definitely something like more collaboration is something that I try and invoke as well. And I actually had a friend of mine, a good artist friend in LA, tell me that he was suspicious of me when we first met, because even when we first met, I was like, hey, look at these opportunities, like I'll bring you in on this job, and like trying to help him out. And he was like, this is weird, like why are you trying to help me, like we're both artists.
Yeah, David, I experienced the same thing when I first started this platform, and I was doing a lot of story posts of artists' work, and some of them were kind of like, what's really going on here, like why do you keep doing that, and it's just like, because I love your work, so. But then,
what's the angle? You try to scam me.
they started to see the consistency in showing that love, and then it was like, oh, okay, we get it. So that's what you do. It's like, yeah, that's what I do. So
yeah, that's so funny to me. I think that's hilarious.
Maybe it's something that we have to get used to. It's I interviewed one of my really favorite interviews from when I started doing interviews, and this gentleman named Nick. And once we started the interview, I dive into it just like I do with all my interviews. And he was just like, whoa. He's like, well, that's a lot of positive energy. Like, he's like, geez. He's like, that's a lot. And sometimes we got to get used to it, So it's like, well, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna keep shining this in your direction, and then you get it. It's like, oh, yeah. I mean, well,
that's great. That's great. And I think maybe you kind of answered this, but I was also interested in, so during the process, so you have this call and this drive to think about others, but I think often in conversations, it's like, I think it's natural for people to like want to talk more about themselves, or to like it can be hard to listen, to really like actively listen to someone and be there for them. It's like, I think for a lot of people quite challenging. So I wondered for you, like while you are listening to someone, do you have any like tips or things to like keep the attention on them instead of like going off with wherever your mind wants to take you.
Okay, so tips on focusing and listening to what they're saying.
Yeah, tips on
Um,
listening, I guess. Yeah.
well, let me see. I'd say I have a a fear, I guess. I'm trying to think of another word, but yeah, a fear of losing track of what they're saying. So maybe that's not really the word I'm trying to say, but I just don't want to lose track of what they're saying. So first of
Mm.
all, a genuine interest helps. Okay, having the genuine interest is key. And of course, like I said, I don't want to lose track. I don't want to lose track, but at the same time, um, we're on the live because I am interested. So yeah, I'd say that does that answer that? It's
No,
sort of
it
like
definitely
reading.
does.
Like I'm not the biggest fan of reading unless it's something I'm very interested in. Then I'm going to fully be there. Like I'm going to absorb as much as I can. But yeah, did that make any sense as far as
It did.
interested and okay, all right, cool. Um, Anything
Definitely.
else?
I mean, I do have a question. I'm a little. Oh, I can hear myself.
Oh, I can't. I don't hear an echo or anything.
It's so off-putting when I hear an echo of myself. I'm like,
Okay,
whoa,
I can
what's
close
happening?
it out. I can close it out, and then you can just request again if you want to.
It's fine. Well, I'll get used to it. I think it's even gone away now. But yeah, I have a question. I guess I'm a little bit nervous to ask it, but I think that probably means that I actually should even more so.
Yeah.
So you're a woman of color,
Hmm.
and I feel like so I'm not from America, but so the culture here is a little bit different.
Yes.
But especially in the last few days with what just happened
Hmm.
with I'm not able to pronounce his name properly. Could
Is it
you
Ahmad?
do it? Yeah,
Ahmad.
yeah, there we go.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
So I guess I'm interested personally in what someone who's Caucasian or another race can do to be the best ally that we can be. And I know that's like a huge topic and
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
kind of like annoying to put that on someone to be like, but and that's something that I've been wondering about because it can be so easy to be like, I don't even know what to do.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Um, I would say, just to I mean, respond and summarize because I just think we as a people sometimes make these solutions more complicated than they have to be. And so what you or what anyone can continue to do is to treat yourself with respect and love and care and others with respect and love and care. And that real energy will create a great impact if we actually believe that. A lot of folks still think that all the circumstances that occur to them happen from out there somewhere, instead of realizing it's something that we're doing. And so the culture, society, we as a people, just we as people, there are places that need healing, but the answer is not for someone else to take care of and to think that we can force someone else to see things from our point of view to fix it. I don't have a lot of faith in that, okay, but I have a lot of faith in what I do and what you do. And if you take, that's where I'm at with it, is that it's something we have to look in the mirror and say, I need to love myself more, and it'll come out in other ways in that place of love. Because if you disrespect yourself, you're disrespecting other people, you're disrespecting yourself. You're not realizing that this person is a reflection of you. This could get deep, David. It could get deep.
I love deep.
But it's yeah, yes, you do, and that's a beautiful thing too. I will say that. I'm glad you reminded me. But it's true. It's yeah, I know for my own journey, I didn't get that before. I didn't realize that, I'd run across the same version of someone who hurt me when I was in second grade, because I'm still carrying this story in my mind that this person could potentially hurt me. this person could potentially hurt me. This person could potentially hurt me. They end up hurting me, you know? And it's so to take a look at how we live our lives, how we treat ourselves, and really ask what we're doing to fix that. Because it starts with us. Again, not saying what can I do to excuse me, what can someone else do to fix this situation? It's what can you do? Look at yourself first, and when you start healing that, it will come out. You have to trust that it's in you, though, you know. Be the change, and it will show. These folks that, you know, what happened recently with Ahmaud, and I mean, it's a talking point now. I don't know, okay, or I don't think that hating the people who killed this man is going to solve anything. I don't think hating them is going to solve anything at all. All right. That's one thing that I'm going to note. Another thing is that people, unfortunately, people get killed every day, you know, and unnecessarily, innocent people. But then how much of that is put on the forefront by the media, you know? That's something else that, you know, I'm just noting, okay? I just note that. So yeah, just to answer your question, I think the best thing that we can do is to continue to, and if you're not, then you're not, but if you know, continue to put more care and love into yourself and others. And it does go a long way. It really does go a long way. Change the kind of conversations that you have. You know, some people may see that as insignificant. Oh, it's very significant. Change those conversations. Let the conversations be more towards healing, towards enjoyment. If there is a problem, then how can we get to a solution? Not, you know, how can we, you know, beat the problem to submission? It's like, how can we get to this solution in a healthy way? You know, a healthy way. So yeah, that's a really good question. I think that's probably one of the deepest questions that anyone's asked me, and I'm glad that you did ask that question. And see, you started off by saying that tug, you know, kind of like, oh, maybe I'm familiar with that. It means lean into it. It means lean into it, for sure.
Thank you so much, and I really take in what you said. I'm trying to listen as best as I can.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think I've just had experiences before where it's, you know, like the burden of education or something like that, and I've, you know, wanted to ask questions and it hasn't. So that was where that nervousness came from. Right. I don't know if you want to talk about this. So it was like, yeah.
I'm ready, especially when, you know, with the reverse roles, I'm totally ready for anything, for sure.
Nice. Yay! Well, thank you so much for sharing.
Yes, thank you for some amazing questions. I've learned a thing or two about myself in responding to it, you know? So yeah, that was needed. So thank you again and again. So we're gonna move into the closing of our interview here, but we're going to play a word game. A relaxed way to I love games.
I love games so much. Yeah.
I heard that now. I definitely do. So let me see, which game shall we play? I have several of them. So let's play, oh gosh. Let's do I like this one. The colors, okay, the color game. So I'm going to call off a color, and you're going to tell me the very first thing that comes to your mind.
Ooh, oh my God, that sounds like a little bit like a therapy game. You're going to find out some dark things about me.
Okay. You have to respond within 2 to 3 seconds. Okay. 2 to 3.
Okay. I'm trying to prepare myself.
Taking some deep breaths. All right, I'm with it. I am with that. Okay. I'm with it.
I'm going to try and do it
Let me know. You ready?
I think so.
All right, let's go. And I'm going to ask you 10 colors, okay? The first color is purple. Purple, first thing.
Whoopi Goldberg.
Wait, why purple?
Because the color purple.
Oh my gosh, oh wow. Where did I go? I was just like, wait, what? Oh my God.
I think because she was a guest on Drag Race recently, and they were talking about the color purple. That's why I think that's in my mind.
I'm with that. I am with that. Okay, Your next color is yellow. Yellow.
Oh, sunshine.
Sunshine. Okay. All right. Do you do any meditating? Excuse me. Do you meditate or anything?
That's so funny you just asked that, because that is what the thought was, is that the meditation I do nearly every day of feeling, it's like you visualize sun going through your body.
Now, see, why did I feel drawn to ask you that? Okay.
Yeah, same wavelength.
Yes, I do meditate. I meditate every day, sometimes in silence, sometimes listening to something, and outside. It's so nice. It's just so...
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right.
I've just recently combined running and meditation through Nike. Have been doing these guided meditation runs with Headspace, and they're so good, and they're free. They're on the Nike app, and they literally transformed my attitude towards both running and meditation. And I go every day, and I love it. I just went before this interview.
Okay.
It makes me feel so good.
Okay, you are my plug. You are the plug for all things podcast, meditations, Dr. Pepper, and the color purple.
Maybe forget the Dr. Pepper one. Now I don't know if I want to promote them so much.
Oh wow, that's good info. Okay, so your next color. Thank you for that too. Your next color is red.
Red, anger. Oh, that's so obvious.
Okay, that's okay. See, it was the first thing. It's like the association, and that's okay.
This is what you're going to discover about me, is that I'm just a really boring, basic person. Like, yellow, sunshine, red, anger.
Not at all, not at all.
Blue, sky.
Your next color is pink.
Pink. Oh, God, me.
Okay.
I love pink.
Yes,
I use pink.
Yes, I see pink in a lot of your words, so yeah.
I use it all the time. I love pink.
That's what's up. I'm with it. This is a good answer. But it's evident, too. It's evident. Your next color is green.
Green. Plants, nature.
Nature. Okay.
Love plants.
Love it. Do you have some indoor plants by any chance?
Yeah, there's one over there.
Look, I'm stepping it up on my
still alive
game. Okay, I'm stepping it up because I'm trying to take better care of my plant one. But I want to explore other indoor plants. Okay, your next color is orange.
Oh, I hate orange. Oompa Loompas.
But the first thing you said is, oh, I hate orange.
I hate orange. I think the only time I've used orange is in this one, maybe, but nah, it doesn't vibe with me.
Okay, and that's okay. At least you realize that. Okay.
I like it for other people, though. Other people can,
They can rock their orange and let them do it. I feel you.
My sister was so afraid of the Oompa Loompa song from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory that if we ever wanted to freak her out, we'd just be like, Oompa Loompa.
Oh, that is so funny, because that is a trip. You're like, okay, first I hate orange, but the next thing you think about is Oompa Loompas. Okay.
Yeah.
Your next color is blue.
Blue, the sky. No, I didn't want to do that.
I said that earlier, and I was like, oh no, he's gonna say the sky. What is it?
I think of, when Picasso's blue period I love blue as like this expression of melancholy.
Got you.
Yeah, but in a kind of like calming, positive melancholy. Like did you see Inside Out, the Pixar film?
No. Mm-mm.
Oh, it's so good, and it's basically like the characters are the emotions in our brain, and one of them is sadness. So the character is literally the personification of sadness, and the message of the movie is about how sadness plays an important role in our life, and that we might think initially that it's something we want to reject, but actually it's something we have to integrate within ourselves. And it's a really beautiful message to a really good film, and that's what I think of when I think of blue and of sadness. It's it's positive feeling towards it. Yeah.
Okay, Inside Out. That's what it's called.
Yeah, it's so good.
Okay.
I love children's films as well.
Oh, duly noted.
Kids movies.
And I do too. And you can learn some things. You put your glasses on to actually really see some of the messages there. I think that's pretty powerful. All right, duly noted. Because I'm always looking for new things to check out for sure. All right. Okay. So your next color is brown. Brown.
Brown? I think of the drag queen Katya. Do you know her?
Who? Who? What was the name you cut out a little bit?
Kat, Kat, Katya Zamolodchikova.
Oh wow. Okay.
But mostly just Katya. She's one of the drag queens from RuPaul's Drag Race, and is probably the most popular one to
Oh.
ever be on the show. And
Mm.
she has a YouTube series called and one of my favorite drag queens, and just wears these really, like, kind of ironically wears these really disgusting brown clothes.
Oh, that's the person that you noted, right? That was a long.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. Okay. All
yeah.
right. So that's the first thing that comes to
She
mind. I'm with you.
She's so, yeah, I think about her. They're like these 80s geometric, clashing different tones of brown that clash together with like brown and orange, and like that's what, yeah. So,
Are they on Instagram?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
you'll have to DM me the username for sure.
That's so funny.
Yeah, I would check
Yeah,
that
they're
out.
great.
I sure would. You know, I like to check new things out all the time. And the last two, first of the last two, it's black. Black.
Black. The first thing that came to mind was Orange is the New Black,
Okay.
that TV show.
Yes.
I keep thinking of TV shows. I think I watch too much TV.
That's okay. That's okay. So the Orange is the New Black is what came to your mind.
Yeah, also my housemate is currently reading the book of that. So I remember, like, earlier I went out and she was reading the book, so maybe that's
Gotcha.
why it's in my head.
Okay, I'm with
Yeah.
that. I'm with that.
Prison.
I'm familiar with that. I hadn't actually watched that show, but I'm familiar with it though.
The first season is good, and then it
Third?
kind of went
So
like...
the third season? Oh, the first season. Oh, okay. First season. Cool. All right, and well, that one's almost the same. Okay, never mind. I have like a similar color. I'm just gonna go with white. White is your last color.
White. Like, beginnings, I guess. Beginnings. Thinking of blank canvases are usually white.
Now, I will say on that note, do you ever feel intimidation from a blank canvas?
No, I know that's a common thing. I was thinking about this the other day. No, I don't. I think my intimidation comes when I'm like 70% of the way through, and I'm like, this is looking really good, and I don't want to mess it up.
Oh,
but I know
okay.
but I know I'm not done yet.
I think
that's when
that's
get
interesting.
intimidated.
But I think that when people do feel a little intimidation, it's just where to start. Where to start. That might be a question. It's like, where to start, and I don't want to mess up. It's like, get over that and then just start, just start something.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's like, it kind of ties into like procrastination, which I definitely do a lot as well. It's that kind of reluctance.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You're working through it though. Procrastination.
Yeah.
That's all good.
Yeah.
David, thank you so much for this time and just sharing this really good conversation. And shout out to our viewers, most definitely. David, is there anyone that you want to give a shout out to? Anyone you want to say hey to? You want to say hi? What's up? What you got?
I don't know. My mom. Hi, Mom.
Okay. Hi, Mom. Most definitely. What? Anybody else? Or are you good?
Oh, there's too many people. I don't. Oh, you know what? I'll do a shout out to Cheyenne at Art Show LA, because she's the one that is really like pushing forward this current Corona painting boards project. Cheyenne is amazing. So Cheyenne at Art Show LA, I appreciate you and I see you.
Nice. Big shouts, much respects to her. And you are in LA, so I'm gonna have to holler at you, let you know when I come through. Over there. Yeah, for sure.
You know what's funny is that I only realized like a few hours ago that it would be 3:00 for me because you're in a different time zone, and I literally scheduled my day around us doing this at 6, and I was like, oh my god, it's a different time.
You know what? That's okay. Everybody always wonders why I say Eastern Standard Time, like when I'm doing my story posts, because
yeah.
All different kinds of time zones. We've had folks
Nigeria.
It was
right there in big letters.
Huh?
I well, it was right there in big letters, and I just didn't like internalize it. But my excuse is that England only has one time zone,
Oh, that's
whereas
right.
America, you have like three. I don't
I
know. You've
know.
got so many different times.
I agree. I agree with this whole how we do some of the things here. So just trust me on that one. And where can we find you? Like, where's the website? Educate our viewers on where they can
Yeah.
find you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm David Puck Artist, so just the same as my Instagram, PUCK Artist, and that's my website, my .com. I'm on TikTok. I've just started doing silly TikTok
Hey,
videos.
okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Um, Instagram, YouTube, those are my main ones.
okay.
Yeah, hit me
Amazing.
up. I always like to say hi to people.
Yes. All right. So peace, everybody. From here to the Far East, David, I will be DMing you in a little bit for sure. And thank you so much.
Yeah,
I can't stop thanking you enough. I've
thank
really learned a
you.
lot. I've grown from this conversation, and I can feel that.
Thank you so much. I've had so much fun, and me too. I feel like I've learned so much from talking to you, and it's like I'm gonna take your energy with me right now as I go throughout my day. So
Thank
thank you.
you. And we'll be in touch
Yeah,
for sure. Okay. I'll be messaging you.
yeah, definitely.
I'm here. You know, I'm gonna message you. All right. Thanks again, David. I'm gonna close it out on this side. Okay. All
Bye.
right.
Lots of love.
Take care. All right, y'all. David Puck, artist, man. So many good vibes. That was an amazing interview. I'm high energy from it. I'm pumped. All right. So, again, make sure that you subscribe on YouTube. Click the link in my bio, y'all, so you can watch the full interview, right? Okay. So, make sure that you do that. And RTA stands for respect the artist, because that's what we do all day, every day. All right. Peace from here to the Far East, y'all.